Hello, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. As the search for those lost at sea continues, it's revealed one teenager died and at least 12 of those on board a migrant boat that capsized off the Kent coast were unaccompanied children.
Well, meanwhile, we speak to the volunteer rescuers of the RNLI who took to the sea in freezing temperatures in the fight to save lives.
Without any doubt, the actions of the fishing boats on scene in both the alert and then getting people out the water saved countless lives.
Also this Thursday evening, coping with the cost of Christmas, how rising prices could mean an increase in scams and how to spot the festive fakes.
And the £1 million facelift, 5 years in the making. We hear from some of the master craftspeople responsible for sprucing up part of Canterbury Cathedral. Good evening. Since first light today, drones have been deployed in the continuing search for people missing after a migrant boat capsized off the Kent coast yesterday. But at 3:30 this afternoon, the search was officially called off. 4 people died, 4 are unaccounted for, and 39 were rescued in desperately difficult conditions by the crew of a fishing boat.
This afternoon, a meeting of Kent County Council was told that 12 of the migrants in the boat were unaccompanied children and that one of those missing is a teenager. James Dunham reports.
Searching now for other people.
Listen again.
Searching now for other people.
Rescuers reassuring the rescued. Trainers, trousers, jackets. Red life vests providing minimal protection. The wet belongings of those considered fortunate, for their lives did not end in a dark, watery grave. After an extensive search yesterday, an operation coordinated by the Coast Guard has continued today, with drones being used to search a vast area of freezing water and all shipping vessels on alert to look out for those who are unaccounted for, with up to 4 people believed to be missing and feared dead. While it's not been confirmed by the Home Office, Kent Council has heard today that a teenager was among the 4 already confirmed dead, with 12 unaccompanied children included in the 39 rescued from their doomed inflatable craft.
Please help me, bro. Please. We are in the water. We have a family.
Each desperate soul likely to have paid thousands for the prospect of a new life. Small boats bring big business for the criminal gangs, profiteering from unimaginable terror, with no shame of sending people off in flimsy, stricken vessels.
These guys are totally and absolutely ruthless. They seem to have moved out of drugs and now into people smuggling, because people smuggling is less dangerous for them. And if they're caught, the sentence they're going to get is less than it would than if they were a major drug smuggler.
For Polly Gifford from Hastings Community of Sanctuary, the tragedy reinforces the need for authorities to do more.
It has to start with more safe and legal routes to come to the UK to claim asylum. Yesterday, the Prime Minister said that they wanted to smash the people smuggling rings and then look at safe and legal routes. But I think that shows a willful misunderstanding of the situation. It is not illegal to come to the UK to seek asylum, regardless of the journey you've had to get here. But if we have a policy that makes it almost impossible to come here except illegally, then the people smugglers still have a market.
Polly is planning a vigil for the weekend for those people brought to Dover yesterday. The government says it's working with the French to prevent small migrant boats making land on the southeast. 30,000 crossings have been stopped this year. And while there hasn't appeared to be any illegal arrivals today, there is an inevitable certainty that more people will continue to risk everything to reach our shores. James Dunham, ITV News.
We're going to get more from James in a moment or two, but tonight the Home Office has confirmed that 401 migrants crossed the Channel yesterday, not including those who died.
Well, the RNLI played a vital part in yesterday's rescue operation, with lifeboats launched from Dungeness, Ramsgate and Hastings, and have been involved in today's search for those still missing.
Well, earlier I spoke to Simon Ling, head of lifeboats at Dungeness, and I asked him how his team were after yesterday's rescue.
Yeah, the team are doing very well. They had a very long day, as you said yesterday, at times very harrowing day. But our team are doing what they do very well, which is congregate back in the lifeboat station, drink some tea, and talk amongst one another. They've had the boat out today, as you can see, and washed it down and made sure it's ready for service again. But the team are doing very well.
Like you say, that tea drinking, all part of the process of processing what they went through yesterday, a dreadful loss of life in the Channel. Can you talk us through exactly what they did from the point when the alarm was raised in the early hours of yesterday morning?
Before I answer that, I think it's very appropriate to say that we'd wish to offer our deepest condolences to the families of those that were lost so tragically on the night of the 14th. But it's fair to say that our crews were presented with a very harrowing and distressing situation on arrival. The fishing boat on scene, which did a fantastic job, which the RNLI would definitely wish to recognise. The actions of the fishing boat, which undoubtedly saved countless lives. Our crews were able to quickly then work alongside the fishing boat to get everybody out of the water, to then administer some casualty care. Our crews are very well trained to do that, and then hand them over to a higher standard care, which we did, in this case, to the emergency services at Dover.
You mentioned that fishing boat there, Simon. Obviously, any loss of life is tragic, but this could have been far worse, couldn't it? How important was the role that fishing boat played?
Yeah, I'm sure the exact role played will be developed as we seek to learn exactly what happened on the night. But I think it's fair to say at this stage already, without any doubt, the actions of the fishing boats on scene in both the alert and then getting people out the water saved countless lives. And so it can't be underestimated. Them being there and being able to issue immediate rescue effect on such a cold night was so important.
And just tell us a little bit about those conditions. You mentioned it was a cold night, particularly challenging, presumably?
Yeah, I think any nighttime rescue is challenging. Any nighttime rescue that involves persons in the water in the dark is even more challenging. And then if you overlay the complexity around the situation and how people ended up in the water and the temperatures, what you're facing there is a very complicated search and rescue environment that involved a number of agencies. There was a helicopter on scene, there was UK Border Force, the Royal Navy, fishing boats. So it's all about understanding that complexity, which our crews did magnificently on the night, to get people out the water as quickly as possible and then get them to a point of safety.
And just finally, you said that your crews are, of course, very highly trained. Sadly, though, this isn't going to be the last time they're likely to be called upon in similar circumstances, is it?
Well, while people continue to get into small boats and make a treacherous crossing in the English Channel across one of the busiest shipping lanes, in all temperatures, whether they be hot or in the extreme cold experienced on the 14th, sadly this risk of a drowning event remains very real. So the most important thing we can do as the RNLI is to continue to understand that risk, to continue to listen to our crews, to continue to evolve and make sure that when they are called upon by His Majesty's Coast Guard, they can respond quickly with the right training and the right equipment to save lives at sea.
Simon Ling, head of lifeboats at Dungeness. We have to leave it there, but thank you very much for talking to us on the programme.
Tonight at Walmer near Deal on the Kent coast, the migrant welfare group Samfire is holding a vigil for those who lost their lives in the Channel yesterday. Back to James Dunham, who's live there for us now. James, a community there wanting to pay its respects.
Absolutely. This event, Sangeeta, was always planned as a winter celebration. We've got dozens of children here who've brought their lanterns along, and as you can probably hear, a choir performing too. But the tragic loss of life in the Channel yesterday is now a focus of tonight's event. Let's talk now to Charlie. You're one of the parents here with your little boy. What impact does it have on a community like Deal when there is a loss of life in the Channel like we saw yesterday?
Well, I think it impacts places like Deal and Dover really, really closely because we're right on the front line. And I think it's really important, especially this time of year. We all just want to be safe and warm and with our families, and the people crossing the Channel, that's all they're trying to do is get somewhere safe away from wars. So I think we need to remember that and have some compassion.
Charlie, thank you very much. Over here now we've got Kay Marsh, who is the organiser behind this event. It was so important for you to make sure that yesterday's tragedy was reflected here tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, this event has been planned for months, and it was originally a celebration of winter around the world. But after yesterday, we thought it was very important to add in that element of vigil and celebrate life, but also remember the lives that were lost yesterday.
Of course, this is a very humanitarian response to what's happened yesterday. What do you hope, though, will come from this in terms of ensuring leaders are aware of the strength of feeling from communities like Deal about the thoughts towards migrants and how they should be treated?
It's important that governments see gatherings like this. You know, we find when things like this happen, it's felt very much through the community, and offering these safe spaces where people can come together and mourn and just to pay tribute together as a community is very important.
And obviously lots of children here, it's important for them to acknowledge what's gone on too.
Yes, absolutely. It's important to teach the younger generation about humanity and about compassion, and this is how we do it.
OK, thank you very much indeed. Well, this event will go on for a little while longer. We have had an update from the Coast Guard in the last hour, and they have confirmed tonight, Sangeeta, that the search operation, which has been going on throughout the day, that has now been called off.
James, live in Deal, thank you.
Let's get some other news now, and there's now a £20,000 reward for information relating to the disappearance of a 30-year-old woman from Worthing. Georgina Gasala was 30 when she disappeared on the 7th of March in 2018. She visited Clifton Wine and Foods in Clifton Road but didn't return home as expected. The disappearance has been recorded as a homicide, and the charity Crime Stoppers is now offering a reward for information that leads to an arrest or a conviction. Sussex Police says the investigation remains open.
87 drivers have been arrested on suspicion of drink or drug driving as part of Sussex Police's annual crackdown. 28 of those have already been charged with offences and will appear in court later this month or early next year. Sussex Police is trying to encourage people to prevent, persuade and report drink drivers as part of its Christmas campaign this year. The force says it's concerning that they are still seeing so many irresponsible drivers getting behind the wheel while intoxicated. The female parent of a white lion pride at the Big Cat Sanctuary near Ashford has died in her sleep at the age of 15. Joy arrived in 2012 and together with a male Themba, they founded the sanctuary's Lion Pride. She was described as a fierce protector of the pride, but also a gentle and tender mother. Now you're watching ITV News in the Meridian region. Coming up on our programme this evening. With temperatures dropping and energy prices rising, the things you can do to save energy and money.
And you can find more on today's top stories in the region throughout the day on our website, of course. Details on the screen, itv.com/Meridian. You can call us 0808 1010 095. And as ever, you can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram.
Rising food and energy costs mean festive celebrations will be more expensive this year, and it's feared many families will struggle to afford Christmas. There are also concerns that bargain hunters could fall victim to scams as they try to save money.
Reporter Sonali Shah for ITV's Tonight programme later this evening will be looking at how to cope with Christmas in a cost of living crisis and how to avoid festive fakes and cons. With more, here's Kevin Ashford.
The price of just about everything seems to be going up. That means this year, for many, it's going to be a costly Christmas.
Everything from Christmas cards, wrapping paper, everything's dearer than it was last year.
Well, everything's gone up, to be fair, but you just got to look around for the bargains and just save up really as much as you can. But we are cutting back.
I won't be having a Christmas dinner this year. I can't afford to.
Recent reports suggest that the cost of the average supermarket shop has risen by almost £700 a year, with even supermarket own brand products rising by up to 30% in price. And that means buying for Christmas dinner is going to be expensive.
We've seen food prices going up across the board, but particularly with butters and spreads, milk, cheese. So if you do cauliflower cheese for Christmas, I know I do, that's going to be a lot more expensive than it was last year.
Many people will be looking for a bargain this Christmas to help save money. But experts are warning that criminals have also been gearing up for the festive season with scams and fakes to try to catch us out. Personal data expert James Walker was shopping online for a pair of trainers for his son. He bought some for a reduced price off what looked like a legitimate website.
I had no doubts about the purchase until the shoes arrived. And then I started to go, there's something slightly odd here. So I took the trainers out of the package and I wasn't quite sure if they were the real thing or not. So what I did was I went online and I went to go and look at videos of how to be able to spot a fake trainer. And after watching the video, it was very clear that what I had was a pair of fakes.
James eventually got his money back thanks to his credit card company. With the pressure of increasing prices and rising criminal activity, this Christmas is going to be a challenging one for many. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
And see more. You can watch tonight Christmas Saves and Scams here on ITV1 at 8:30.
Now the ITV Evening News with the national and international news continues at 6:30. With the details, here's Charlene White.
A royal war between brothers. Prince Harry's explosive allegation about the Sandringham summit on his and Meghan's future.
It was terrifying to have my brother scream and shout at me and my father say things that just simply weren't true.
The biggest strike in the history of the Royal College of Nursing. Tens of thousands walk out over pay across England, Wales and Northern Ireland. And why the days of limited liquids and plastic bags when you fly could be over. Join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Charlene, thank you. Well, we talked about the cost of Christmas a few minutes ago, and with energy prices so high and the weather feeling much colder and much more wintry, many people are having concerns about heating their homes and how much that is costing them.
But there are things you can do to both save energy and save money. James Webster has 5 top tips put together with the help of organisations including the Energy Saving Trust that could save you hundreds of pounds.
Tip number 1, spend some time setting up your thermostat and timer. Reducing the temperature by just 1 degree could save £150 a year. But remember, experts say rooms should be at least 18 Celsius and as high as 21 for people who are vulnerable. Next, check your combi boiler. Turning the flow temperature down to 60 degrees could save around £100 a year, and your rooms will still get warm. If you have a water tank, the temperature should be at least 65 degrees to make sure bacteria doesn't form in the tank. On to our third tip now, and it's about reducing how much water you use while showering. Try spending less time in the shower. If you can get washed in 4 minutes, it could save you £90 a year. Another way is to fit a water-efficient shower head. Just remember, they're not advisable with electric showers. Next, try turning down your radiator valves in rooms that you use less often. That could save £70 a year. Experts say it's best to set your radiators to the middle of the valve rather than using them at full power like an on-off switch. Finally, fitting draft proofing could save around £50 a year. You can get strips for your windows, doors and letterboxes, and also seal the gaps around your floors. If you can implement all 5 of these tips, it could save around £40 a month, and experts say it really might be worth doing.
It does take a bit of thought, a bit of effort to work out what you can do in your circumstance, because everyone's different. Not everyone can do everything that we might suggest or you might suggest. But if you take the effort to find out what it is you can do, then that gives you the confidence to make the changes, remain comfortable, remain healthy, but keep those bills down and save yourself a few £100 a year.
And if you want to read more detail about our energy saving tips, go to itv.com/advice. And remember, it's not about turning off your heating and being cold. It's about using energy more carefully and saving money while you do it.
James Webster there. And older people are being urged to check whether they qualify for pension credit benefit by this weekend to ensure they don't miss out on possible extra payments.
Well, the credit is designed to help people who are over state pension age and on a low income, although you don't need to be getting a state pension to receive it. Those who claim by the 18th of December could also be entitled to an extra payment of more than £300, as claims can be backdated for up to 3 months.
And remember, there's more information on how to claim pension credit on our website, itv.com/Meridian, with links to a pension credit calculator to see whether you might be eligible.
Now, a £5-year £1 million restoration project on one of Kent's oldest and most treasured buildings has finally been unveiled.
The repaired facade of Canterbury Cathedral's Christ Church Gate has been described as glorious, resplendent and even gaudy. But one thing is for sure, you certainly can't miss it.
Well, our reporter Kit Bradshaw has been meeting some of the skilled workers responsible for the 500-year-old structure's painstaking renewal.
It's fantastic to see the scaffold finally down and see all of the work in its glory.
This grand Tudor building has served as the principal gateway to Canterbury Cathedral for centuries. But for the past 5 years, it's been hidden from view.
All above the angels on both sides, that's all new stone.
As a dedicated team of skilled craftsmen and women returned Christ Church Gate to its former glory.
The gate had been heavily restored in the 20s and 30s, but some of those repairs had started to fail, and also the whole gate was very dirty, so there was pollution, there was environmental debris from pigeons, and just generally, 5 centuries of accumulated grime. So our first job was to clean everything off the gates. Then we could ascertain exactly which repairs were needed.
14 stonemasons work full-time at the cathedral, intricately carving new pieces to match the original decorative shields. The stonework that could be saved was extensively cleaned, using, amongst other things, this precision laser.
It uses an infrared laser to superheat basically the bits of dark sulfate deposit that are on the building, and then that just pops off from the energy it's absorbed.
And what was the colour of that bit of archway before the laser was used on it?
Black, pretty much jet black. So yeah, it was completely filthy.
Because of the size of the scaffolding needed for this restoration work, the bottom portion of the gate is yet to be cleaned. And when you look up close, you really can tell the difference. The remaining areas will be scrubbed in the new year, while a bronze statue of Jesus Christ will also be returned to its place.
It's very different when you're working so close up to the building on a scaffold. When the scaffold comes down and you can see it from a distance, it's great. I'm really pleased with it.
And do you have a favourite part of the Christ Church Gate?
There's one particular bit of stone, the original mermaid that's on the front. But you can see it really clearly now. We cleaned it with a laser and it's just beautiful to see.
The gate's restoration is estimated to have cost more than £1 million and is part of the wider Canterbury Journey project.
We are very aware that we stand on the shoulders of others and we are here to pass it on to the next generation. So that's why we invest so heavily in craft, in training people, and the very offering of arts and so on is it's like a prayer. It's what people can do to celebrate the life of faith in the physical world.
And eyes at last shall see him.
The resplendent return of this local landmark is certainly attracting admirers and delivering an early Christmas present to this cathedral city for one and all to enjoy. Kit Bradshaw, ITV News, Canterbury.
Canterbury at Christmas, nothing like it.
Just beautiful. Now, Pip joins us to talk about the weather. Let's talk about the freezing current conditions in a moment, but first you want to take our minds back to slightly warmer times?
Yeah, I want you to cast your mind back to the summer when the sun was out and the bugs were out, although I suspect the bugs are not quite as prolific as we might have thought. Now, you may remember me way back then touching on a campaign called Bugs Matter. It was asking people to count the number of bugs that had encountered their number plate on any given journey. It's run by Kent Wildlife Trust and buglife.org, and it's all about assessing the health of bugs. But the news isn't great. The numbers are in and verified. Let's take a look. So the annual survey started back in 2004, and over that period of time, we've now seen a decline of 64%. That's down further on the numbers that were coming in this time last year, a decline of 59%. Why is that? A number of reasons: loss of habitats, pollution of waterways, pesticide use, and of course the biggie, climate change, rising temperatures. So whilst the news isn't good, it's vitally important. It means the experts know where to put their resources, and hopefully hopefully reverse that trend. And fingers crossed this time next year we'll see something a little more positive.
And we've got another extreme of weather now, because it felt really, really cold recently. How cold, Pip?
Yeah, it was Arctic last night, quite literally. Arctic air coming our way. -7.7 recorded at East Malling. England had its coldest night on record so far so far this year. That would be going some. But take a look at these temperatures. So today, these are the highs we've seen up and down the UK. Look at Sunday though. If you're struggling with the cold weather, a big jump in those temperatures, double figures in the south by Sunday. But it does come hand in hand with wet and windy weather, maybe even a little bit more snow.
Maybe in time for Christmas, who knows? Here's Pip now with your forecast.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
So a chilly night last night, more of the same to come tonight, but the cold and frosty conditions do have an end to them. I think as we head into the weekend, becoming quite a bit milder, but with that also wetter and windier too. So what's going on? Well, currently we're very much under the influence of Arctic air dragging its way down from the north. But over the next couple of days, winds will take a southwesterly turn, with draw in milder air indicated by the yellow and orange hues. And with that, the arrival of low pressure and some weather fronts. And as those weather fronts bring rain, that rain could turn to sleet and snow initially as it hits the cold air. But out there at the moment, things still pretty quiet. So overnight tonight, 1 or 2 showers just brushing the East Kent coast, perhaps turning to sleet or snow in 1 or 2 locations, but not expected to cause any problems. And elsewhere, a dry, clear picture. Another widespread frost, though, icy stretches on untreated roads and pavements, and potentially some fog patches in places by dawn. But any fog will gradually lift tomorrow morning. The frost and the ice taking its time though, and in fact even in the best of the sunshine tomorrow it will remain bitterly cold out there. Temperatures for most of us just getting up to a fairly measly 2 or 3 Celsius at best. High tides for tomorrow for Dover, they're just before 4 in the morning and getting on for 4:30 in the afternoon. But beyond that, signs of that change. So another dry, bright and bitterly cold day tomorrow. Saturday into Sunday though, that's when we see that change coming. The temperatures showing significant signs of recovery, but of course the arrival of unsettled weather, potentially a brief spell of sleet or snow as the rain arrives, and then remaining pretty unsettled as we start the new week. Do take very good care. Bye-bye.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
And you're up to date in the southeast in just a moment here on ITV1. It's the evening news with Charlene White.
That is it from us for the time being, though. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you very soon. Take care and stay warm. Bye.
Bye-bye.